Sunny bhai, this definitely seems like the best overall batting performance by India in Brisbane. But do you think it was one of the finest Indian batting performances on day one of any test down under? And I only ask this keeping in mind the pitch.
It certainly was because there was so much hype about the Brisbane pitch, what it was going to do and how much bounce there was going to be, how lively it was going to be. And there was enough carry, enough bounce, but our batsmen batted really well. You've got to say that the Australians didn't bowl half as well as they should have, bowled a little bit wide, a little too short, and allowed the batsmen to settle down. But no praise can be too high for Murali Vijay. The way he batted, his shot selection was superb. The way he judged the deliveries around the off stump, also top class, and he fully deserved that 100. I wish he had stayed on, because then India would have been in a real dominant position.
Right. Sunny bhai, is today the perfect day to highlight the importance of a good opening partnership? You know, first time in over 3.5 years, India has a 50+ opening stand in an overseas test, and the end result is there for all to see. 311 for 4 at the end of day one.
Absolutely. I think you lay a good solid foundation. The rest of the batsmen can benefit. And while this was not a huge foundation, it was a 50+ foundation. And I think that's good enough for starters, if one can call it that way. And the way the others settled in also showed, because in the first hour, the pitch is at its liveliest, it's at its best. Whether it's the Brisbane pitch, the Melbourne pitch, Sydney pitch, any overseas pitch, the first morning of the first day, that is the toughest part. And the way the Indians handle it, full marks to them.
Okay, let's talk about Murali Vijay, the hero of the day for India. Along with Virat, he's looking like the best Indian batsman on tour. He has a great record against Australia too. What's it that he's doing right that others aren't? You know, leaving the ball well is one thing that is obvious to the naked eye.
The shot selection. I think his shot selection is a lot more precise than it was earlier. I think he's also physically made himself a little bit stronger. So his concentration is very good. Sometimes, you know, it's the lapses in concentration that have cost him his wicket. So as far as concentration is concerned, he's very good as far as that is concerned. And therefore, he's been able to notch up the hundreds and bat for long periods. Sometimes, like for example, in Adelaide, he didn't get to 100, but he's batted for a long enough period. And that is only because he's become physically stronger as well.
Okay, let's talk about MS Dhoni. He spoke about being aggressive ahead of this test match. He's back now. He won the toss, decided to bat first on this Gabba pitch. You think that aggressive decision set the tone then for day one?
It certainly did, because you showed intent. You showed to the Australians that, look, you might be talking a great deal about the kind of bounce, the kind of movement that this pitch will afford, but we are ready to counter it. We are ready to challenge that. We are ready to show that we are capable of handling that. And that's the message that was sent with that decision to bat first. In fact, if you go back, and I say this, if you go back to 2002, when Sourav Ganguly decided to bat first on an overcast day in Leeds, and the pitch was green, absolutely green, greener than what Lord's was this year, and India scored 600 runs. Rahul Dravid got 100, Sanjay Bangar, who's now the batting coach, he hung around for, I think, 60-something runs, and Virendra Sehwag also got some 20-30. But I think that particular match actually has set the tone for India, opting to bat first in unfriendly conditions and still doing well. So full marks to MSD for that decision. And then, of course, a captain can take a call. It's the team that has got to support him, and the team, the batsmen, have certainly supported that decision.
Okay, Indian batsmen did really well, like you mentioned. Now, let's look at the Australian bowlers. Only a 3-day break between test matches, and the last test also saw Australia bowl last, you know, in which 3 out of Australia's 5 bowlers worked really hard to win that test match. You think that might have affected their performance on a hot day in Brisbane today?
I don't think so. I think it's just the fact that they bowled badly. Look, today's generation prides itself on being much more fit than the earlier generation. So I don't think you can use that as an excuse at all. It's just that their line was not right, their length was not right. That can happen. That can happen sometimes. You know, the bowlers, quick bowlers, can get carried away, seeing the bounce in the pitch, and in fact try to get a little more bounce and pitch it shorter. You pitch it shorter, you give the batsman that much more time to see what the ball is going to do. You pitch it fuller, you make the batsman committed onto the front foot. The batting time is that much limited. So I think maybe the Australians erred on that aspect, bowling a little too short and a little too wide.